What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another edition of Mean Streets here on our FTN YouTube page, joined by Vlad Sedler, the man behind the fantastic fantasy baseball draft kit, the head of MLB content over at FTN Fantasy. Of course, you know me, Chris Meaney here. Appreciate you guys taking the time to hang out. We are going to talk about fantasy baseball here over the next little bit. Going to take a look at the first couple of rounds, get Vlad's thoughts on his draft strategy, how the drafts are shaping up. It's very early, mid-February coming at you. Also going to talk about this beautiful draft kit. Thanks for taking the time, Vlad. And man, did you ever take care of the people? I mean, last year's draft kit was phenomenal. And I think I can say with confidence, it's even better this year, man. I feel like you're touching on a lot of different things early in the season, and articles are coming out every single day. You got your projections and your rankings. Why don't you touch on the kit where you helped really put this whole thing together, man?
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the most important things is just getting a little bit of a refresh after the World Series and just letting your mind reset for the following season. But I definitely wanted to curate something that was going to be valuable to all levels of fantasy players, but really highlight a lot of the sort of more common trends in draft strategy and analytics and roster construction. And so we collected a group of talented writers, many of them guest writers, people that are dominant players in the industry. I mean, Steve Weimer, who is a consistent NFBC player, Nick Pollack from Pitcher List, and Rob Silver, and then Drew Forte. He won the $150,000 NFBC online championship last year, and he is a very sharp data analytics guy. And so we just had a nice collection of pieces that are really, I guess, transcendent and can be helpful all throughout. So there are even a couple articles there that I'm still digging into and rereading, and helping me set some of my formulas up for draft strategy. But it's been great. We have phenomenal content coming out every week, a wonderful team, and then just a constant set of tools and projections that are being updated. 15-team rankings, 12-team rankings. We've got stuff for underdog, cut line drafts, a little bit of everything for everyone, and a vibrant Discord community. So it's been an absolute blast.
Yeah, the Discord is fun. I love the conversations already. It's easy to get caught up in football. I know you follow football as well. And then as soon as it's over, it's like, bam, it hits you. I mean, there's still players out there that have yet to sign on teams, but just the amount of information you talked about covering every single league from, a rotisserie, of course, there's dynasty rankings with, tidbits on arrival of when these players, we expect them to, be with their teams and what we can expect from them when they are with their teams is pretty cool angle there. The auction, the best ball, high stakes, of course. You mentioned the cut line. You took part in a live draft, the first of many. If you are subbed here at FTN, you're going to see Vlad go live. And I just really enjoy it. Just getting your thoughts. You have a couple people join you. I saw Siege boil your blood a little bit on Tyler O'Neill, and it's just fun to get your thoughts. He's good at that. Just to get your thoughts, your draft process, and how the board is going to take shape as we get closer to first pitch.
Yeah, and one of the things that's great about the live stream series, so we are partnered with the NFBC, and we are doing a set of live stream drafts, and we'll have different people from the team, different analysts that are going to draft. So you'll see kind of the draft board unfold within the within the mind of different people. We're going to have my FTN Fantasy Baseball podcast co-host Jason Anthony. We're doing a 12-team online championship draft with him here in a few days. Nice. The week after that, it'll be Beat Eric Cross League. And so just kind of different perspectives, and we'll do play-by-play analysis as every draft round kind of rolls out.
We have a link inside the description of this video to your the podcast that you alluded to as well. So sub wherever it is that you listen to your favorite pods. And man, there's 20 plus strategy articles, I feel like, from some big names across the industry that you alluded to earlier. And I always want to give a shout out to Greg Jewett, who does the closer piece. How have you, just before I want to show you the board and get into a couple things with you, but how has saves evolved over the past couple of years? We're going to show the top 24 picks on average. There's no closers in there, but some people don't want to pay for saves. Every draft is different. What's your take on closers? And I just feel like in a rotisserie league, man, you got to be in the middle of the pack, or you're not going to get the prize. If you're middle pack of saves, or you're just not going to get rewarded at the end of
Yeah,
the
I
day.
mean, there are definitely certain formats where you can get away with waiting on closer a little bit. So, fab leagues, and then of course their closers are devalued in points leagues, and then in standalone leagues, right? Like any satellite or a home league, you can essentially get away with it. But a good number of people in the fantasy baseball community are playing the 50-round draft champions, and the uniqueness of this format is there are no moves to be made over the course of the season. There's no one you can pick up. The 50 players you have on your team are locked in, and the landscape of closers has changed so much. You have more committees, guys getting the hook pulled on them quicker than ever. You've got players that are getting traded, and so you need to have depth at the closer position, and you need to kind of go against the grain and not be afraid to grab a couple of the early guys. I mean, even this year, you've got a field of about 12 or 13 that we feel pretty comfortable about. And then when you get beyond that, I mean, it's really uncomfortable to in a format where you are locked with the players you have to start getting into the Kenley Jansens of the world who might get traded, or Adbert Alzolay, who may or may not be in a committee with, like, say, Hector Neris. So there's just so much going on with the closers. And then, of course, in those type of formats, you're loading up relievers as you go because things happen, players get injured, players get traded. But even there, there's a lot of not only educated guesses you have to make, but a lot of luck that you have to have on your side as well.
Yeah, we talked about Kenley, who, of course, you're very familiar with the Dodgers. We did a Red Sox preview, myself and MLB Dream, and we just wondered who would be on the roster in 3/4 of the way through the season if the Red Sox are going to be sellers. We just don't know the feeling of Boston. It's been very different over the past couple of years. Let go of Mookie, sign Chris Sale, lose Xander, bring in Trevor Story. It's just like kind of randomness, I think, with the Red Sox. Okay, that's really it. I want to talk. I mean, we could go draft kit all day long, but Seeger 5 promo code for you. Save yourself a little bit of cash. I mean, you didn't even really touch on your rankings, man, which you got rankings, as you mentioned, from different formats, but top 500. And I love how you highlight the difference between, your feelings and the ADP over at NFBC. So you get a really good feel of some players that you like, and some players that you're targeting. So check it out. You're going to take care of the people throughout the season as well, with the weekly waiver wire stuff and the podcast. So subscribe to that. Before I let you go and get out of here, I did want to get your thoughts on the top of the draft board. You and I talked before we got on here. I actually showed you a picture of last year's top 12 on average. And we were like, whoa, that's not right. Last year, this time, you can make a case for, I believe, 6 players, Vlad, to go first overall. I saw a lot of everything from Ronald Acuna Jr. to Trey Turner, Aaron Judge, Shohei, Jose Ramirez, Julio Rodriguez in there as well. I think we could say with confidence, both of us, I mean, you are the true expert here, but a historic season from Ronald Acuna Jr. last year. First player ever, 40 and 70. That's 70 stolen bases. First time anybody had more than 52 stolen bases during a 30 home run season. He led the NL in runs, hits, stolen bases, on base percentage, OPS. He was second in slugging and average, 41 bombs, 106 players, or 106 RBI. What a player for that guy.
Yeah.
That guy is Ronald Acuna Jr. So no argument. That's it. He's the first. I think I saw you tweet you haven't had shares yet, I'm assuming, because you haven't had a chance to draft near the top of the board just yet.
Well, in many, many drafts deep, and we're talking double digits here, and granted, not a lot of them are fab leagues, I had not yet drawn a number 1 pick. And I'm talking about even the underdog dingers, right? I just cannot get a number 1 pick. Lo and behold, I entered what would be my last draft champions, and boom, got the number 1 pick and got Acuna. But you mentioned it. It's just a no-brainer there at the top. And obviously, knock on wood, just he makes it, through the whole season. And just even if he does not repeat what he did last year, it's still going to be a huge win and probably a nice lapping over the field. And you alluded to his amazing season last year. It was actually the greatest roto season of all time. Previous to that, it was Aaron Judge's big year. But yeah, it really, if you think back of all the, even Eric Davis when he had monster seasons, or like, Mickey Mantle or whatever, and back in the past, when you can even do those like calculations and see back, previous roto seasons, nothing comes close, because even in the Rockies days, in the heydays, it was like not only Larry Walker was going off, but Galarraga and Helton and everybody. Here, there was like a clear guy, and Acuna. That's why he's going $60+ in some cases, 70 in some of these auctions I've seen.
Wow. Yeah, you're talking to me, man. Larry Walker, I'm a big Expos guy. I grew up watching a little bit of Larry Walker and a Lou back in the day. So Julio's here, and I love Julio Rodriguez. I mean, I don't think that there's really a bad pick. I'll let you speak to that. But there's two guys here that are kind of new up in here. I mean, Bobby Witt was a popular pick early last year, but man, did he ever? I want to know what his ceiling looks like. I don't know if you could share, but 50 bombs and 79 stolen bases in 2 seasons, 30 and 49 last year. I felt like he walked more, he struck out less, a boost in all kinds of categories, WRC plus, WOBA, ISO, slugging, all those cats. And then you got Corbin Carroll here. I felt like there was a divide maybe this time last year. I am going to draft Corbin Carroll this early, or I'm not going to draft him. He was the unanimous NL Rookie of the Year. 25 homers, 54 stolen bases, a 285 average. He had over 115 runs, 23-year-old. He became the first ever rookie, Vlad, to hit 25 homers and steal 50 bags. Of course, stolen bases were hot and heavy last year. Those guys belong as a top 5 pick. Any issues?
No, not at all. And my original instinct when I was doing my rankings, it was Julio Rodriguez second. And after we had put the VDP projections together, powered by FTN data, and as we continue to work those, it's Bobby Witt coming in second there. I mean, what he did last year, hitting 30 homers with 49 stolen bases and just improving everywhere across the board. He reduced his strikeout rate by about 4 ticks. Increased his walk rate. The power was better. His isolated power increased. Hard hit rate, barrel rate went from like 9% to about 12%. Just everything is just incredible. And it was hardly even a batting average risk. I mean, you're even looking at something like his expected batting average was near 300. So that's really something there. And of course, XBA is not a predictive stat, but it's still nice to see that he had, despite hitting 276, he underperformed those expectations.
Man, what a swing. I just like it's just like love his swing. I know he was compared to Trout a few years ago and the swing, and it does look very similar in my opinion. A couple Dodgers here. Maybe we could save the Dodgers. We get to the next board with Shohei there, but it's gonna be a fun season for you, dude. Enjoy Shohei. Yeah. Mookie, Freddie in there. Tatis Jr.'s certainly battled some injuries. Is he the riskiest pick here in the top 12? I mean, just the seal, it's like both sides, the ceiling, and then there's been some injuries and of course suspensions and things like that. Is when you look at the top 12, I mean, is he the riskiest?
Yeah, I mean, and I think on the flip side is the upside is really the next highest, because you're just thinking a couple of years ago when he was healthy and everything was fine, the conversation was always, Acuna or Tatis. And Tatis, if anybody can have a full healthy season and do 40 home runs with 40 stolen bases again, along with Acuna, it's him, it's Bobby Witt, even Julio Rodriguez, to be honest. But I do have in the VDP Fernando Tatis just a bit lower, just because of those little bits of injury concerns, and then perhaps team context could be an issue because they did lose Juan Soto, and of course Manny Machado may or may not be ready to start the season, so he's closer to around 10 or 11. I honestly, crazy as it may sound, I will take one of the Yankees, Soto or Judge, before I take Tatis. Of course, you take a little bit of a loss in projected stolen bases, but those are some category that I can be able to pick up along the way.
Oh, baby, interesting. For the iTunes and Spotify listeners, I failed to read this off for you guys. We're looking at a beautiful board here from our guy Fox, and the ADP NFBC, and we're recording towards it's mid-Feb here, the 20th of February. And I took a look at the last 2 weeks. It's like a sample of, I thought it was like 80 plus drafts. Of course, things are going to change a little bit. Ronald Acuna Jr. at 1, Bobby Witt Jr. at 2, Julio Rodriguez at 3, Corbin Carroll at 4, Mookie Betts 5, Kyle Tucker 6, Fernando Tatis Jr. at 7, Freddie Freeman at 8, Spencer Strider, the first pitcher off the board on average, 8.82 here at pick 9. Juan Soto and Aaron Judge, who you just alluded to, and then Trey Turner towards the end. We get into round 2 here in a second. I've seen different guys here in this 12 spot, but this time last year, as we talked about, Turner, up near the top of the board, now near the end of the first, if this is a 12-teamer. No preference between Soto and Judge. I mean, what can you say about both of them? I mean, maybe a little bit more power for Soto this year at Yankee Stadium?
I think so. I think he might be flirting with 40 home runs. I think he can flirt with a 300 batting average. And then obviously in OBP leagues, just an absolute beast. One of the few guys that can produce you 400 there. And I think people probably think he's a little bit less risky than Judge, but of course, I think we all know what the Judge upside is. There, of course, was a report earlier today that his toe is something he says he's going to be managing throughout the rest of his career. And I have a slight feeling that, we are so volatile to every little bit of news in spring training. We'll probably see a little bit of a dip on him. And then, man, if he's healthy, of course, it's, top 3 overall upside and a big win for people.
Yeah, career high 35 homers for Soto last year, 12 stolen bases, tied a career high, 200 plus ribbies and runs combined. And I think, 40 is definitely possible with him. Let's get to the round 2 here and we'll get you out of here. Shohei atop here. How do you feel about utility? Does that bother you? Because of course it's not going to pitch this year.
No, I mean, if it's Shohei Ohtani and I'm in a 12 teamer and he's available there at the end of the first, early second, I'm taking him 10 times out of 10. It's an absolute no brainer. I think the upside and just the counting stats, right? Like to be nestled there between Betts and Freeman and the amount of runs and RBI. I mean, we saw what Freeman and Betts did in that department last year. It could be massive. He'll probably be allowed to run a little bit. I mean, the one thing that he typically doesn't especially excel in 5x5 roto is batting average, but who cares, So 5x5, it's just fine to take an Ohtani there.
And dude, I know you're aware of this, and other people are as well. But man, he can really run. I've watched him a dozen times live, and it blows you away. The speed, the height of him. He just, I think he blows other people away too. I think maybe now it's kind of caught on, but at first, man, like even the past couple of years, he gets on first, and pitcher's not paying attention to him. Like he's easily taken that bag. He's pretty impressive, man. That's why they call him the unicorn. And again, enjoy. You're gonna have me rooting for the Dodgers a lot this year. Jose Ramirez at 14, Matt Olson, bunch of Braves. Here we go. Brave City. Matt Olson there, Garrett Cole, Bryce Harper, first base here for the Phillies. Jordan Alvarez, who I think he's, I don't know, man, you can make a case, certainly the best hitter in the game, smashes lefties, righties, just stay healthy. I mean, not going to give you any speed, but I always take a little bit of a flyer on him to lead the bigs and homers. You have to get it, but who knows? Maybe this is the year. Austin Riley, another Brave. Corbin Burns, now a member of the O's. Ozzie Albies, another Brave. Francisco Lindor had a pretty good season last year. Rafael Devers, and then Elly De La Cruz, who took the world by storm. I wasn't really going to bring him up, but is that a fair price, man? Like it feels like it's pretty pricey.
It's pretty pricey. It's very pricey. In fact, in my 15-team draft, a little bit different than our board format here, he was available for me at pick 30. So where I grabbed Acuna, I then had the option to take Elly De La Cruz, and I passed. Pete Alonso was there. I think that's a big reason why. It's just, that you're going to bank 40-plus home runs, 110-plus ribby there. Whereas with Elly De La Cruz, despite the upside being incredibly high, and of course pairing with an Acuna, I mean, you pretty much locked in the stolen base category because you got 100-plus between the two. But there's just so much downside. In fact, it could be as much as potentially even getting sent down to the minors. Of course, I don't think that happens. I hope it doesn't happen, but it is within the realm of possibility, which is a tough sell in a second or third round pick.
Yeah, is it ever? It would be devastating, but he is super fun to watch. He's definitely electric, man, and he can move out there. He's got a ton of power too. Like the exit velocity was through the roof, it felt like, with him last year. All right, so final thing here before we get out of here. You saw on board one, Strider easily led the bigs in strikeouts. I believe it was 10-1 we had in the tracker. Next guy, Gossman, man, I think he, in the second half, it looked like, I don't know if he got tired, but his numbers weren't as good. There's some walks and higher ERA, but he was unbelievable all year long. And then you see Garrett Cole here, and I was looking in deeper into his numbers too, Vlad. I mean, I don't see any flaws with him. Just the strikeout percentage came down a little bit. It was 5 straight seasons of 30% rather, and 27 last year, 9.56 K per nine. It was his lowest since 2017 with the Pirates, but he still had 222 strikeouts, and he's just been 200 plus all the time. Burns now from Milwaukee to Baltimore. Dream said he didn't really think that there'd be much difference in his numbers. I mean, better park, but doesn't give up a whole lot of homers anyways. How are you attacking pitching? Are you interested in it? I'm all like, I want offense, but I have no problem with any of those guys. How do you attack pitching early in drafts?
Well, for me, it's just a matter of in the roto game, and especially in a contest in competitions that I play that have an overall component where if you win your league, that's fantastic, but you're also trying to beat hundreds, in some cases thousands of other people for large six-figure sums of money. And to be competitive in those, you want to have balance across the board. And the scarcest of all these categories, and in fact, it's an article that Steve Weimer wrote about in the draft guide, really is those ratio categories. On the hitting side, it's batting average, something that a lot of people overlook. And on the pitching side, it's really the ratios, because what happens is when you wait on pitching too long, if you don't have those solid aces like a Strider, like a Burns or a Cole, you kind of catch yourself having to stream bums over the course of the season. You'll look at something and kind of have like a confirmation bias. You're like, oh, this guy's got 2 starts, I'm going to stream him this week. And then he blasts you with like 10 earned runs. And then, your ratios fall considerably. So having more solid pitching, I think, is very important in almost any aspect of a contest of like roto fantasy, because I feel like hitters are more easily available and attainable in fab during the course of the season.
Yeah, well said. It's just good advice, because you are shooting for, you're playing against a lot of people. You're shooting for the top. It's like these best ball drafts, right? I mean, you are shooting for kind of maximum upside. I know you're bringing a couple Seattle pitchers. I watched you take, I think, Luis Castillo, and I believe in the rankings you have Kirby pretty high. And man, how could you not like those Seattle arms? They got a couple of really, really good ones. Any final words, Vlad? This has been a blast, man, to chop it up with you. I always enjoy my conversations with you, and I listened right. I wasn't able to watch. You did it pretty late, the live stream, but I watched the next morning, and I really enjoyed your thought process through it. As you've said, double digit drafts. Is there a player or two that you can share that you have a couple shares of? Maybe it's a surprise. Maybe they just fell to you in drafts, and you have some early shares that you didn't think you would.
You mean in drafts?
Yeah, just so far in drafts, like lately. Just at any, it doesn't have to be late. Maybe player or two you have exposure to.
Yeah, I mean, one guy is Tyler O'Neill, just somebody that I have.
Okay,
This is like do as I, don't do as I do. Just, like he's just one of those guys where you know that things would come together for him if he could just stay healthy. Maybe this change of scenery for him in Boston will do well for him. But he's one of those guys. He had that incredible season a few years ago, 2021, where it was just massive. And I think given the opportunity, he can be phenomenal. And I mean, they're just lots of different players all kind of throughout the draft that I'm a fan of. But just one random guy that I kind of like late. I almost wish I am not saying this on the air, but hey, I'm pretty transparent guy. Jacob Junis for the Milwaukee Brewers. He's no Corbin Burns, not even close. But his velocity is up a few ticks from his days in Kansas City. He's going to have a starting role there. He's essentially, I mean, we're talking deep drafts. This is like 30 rounders, 15 teamers. But I think not even him necessarily. It's kind of like the group of guys there. There's going to be a stud on this team, and he's not even the most talented guy there. They got DL Hall in return for Burns in that deal. They've got Robert Gasser, who's an excellent AAA pitcher who might be coming up at some point. Aaron Ashby's healthy again. So yeah, there's a good group there, and we didn't even talk about their ace, Freddie Peralta. So a lot to like, a lot of good potential there with Milwaukee. And no, I will not mention Wade Miley in that group.
I used to pick on June, like in the DFS world, because he did have the high contact rate back, and it was a few years ago. But yeah, as you mentioned, velocity change and a change of scenery for him as well. There's gonna be some good defense still behind him in Milwaukee. So again, always a pleasure, man. I really do love talking fantasy baseball with you. So check out the guide, guys. Seeger5 promo code for you. Make sure you're sub to the podcast. You're doing new podcasts, taking care of the people throughout the season, waiver wire stuff. Even if you're not playing in high stakes leagues, I think there's definitely a lot that you can get from these waiver wire articles. And you'll be updating rankings. We'll be doing best ball drafts here on our FTN YouTube page, and you'll be doing some more live drafts as well. Any final words on the kit or anything before we get you out of here?
No, just get in there, ftnfantasy.com. We have the standard package and then the high stakes package, which is a little bit more of a concierge service. We do some custom sheets for you. You have access to the special Discord. The man, the myth, Mike Mager is in there, top 20 all-time money winner in NFBC history. Just spelling insane amounts of quality information. This is a guy that I'm constantly learning from myself. So to be able to tap into his brain, I think is phenomenal. FTNfantasy.com. And then, dude, just to be on with you is it's always a pleasure. I've known you for 10 plus years from, back in the day. We used to do shows like in live studio back, pre-COVID.
Yes.
That was the good old days, man. So it's always great to connect with you. So thanks for having me, man.
Yeah. I appreciate you, dude. Good luck in Vegas and good luck with all your drafts. We will chop it up again very soon. Again, ftnfantasy.com /pricing. Links inside the description of this video. Check it out. Seeker 5. Good luck with all your drafts. This is a place to be, FTN, for the next little bit. And we'll talk to you guys soon. Thanks for taking the time to hang out. Cheers.